How did you get the idea to create your own racing team?
That started a long time ago, Frank. I think when I was a little boy, I was born in a family where they had a garage. So I was born between cars, and my elder brother already loved racing. So he took me to Zandvoort in 1966. Was the first time I ever went to the Zandvoort racetrack, and I think I was sold then. And of course I only watched from the grandstand, and amazing, all these cars with John Surtees and Jack Brabham and all the big names of the past. And after a few years, because of luck, because there was a guy in my home village that wanted to race, and he was looking for a room, for a place to park his race car.
Yeah.
So and we met, and I said, of course you can leave it in my home garage, and then it started. So yeah.
And what is your role in the team?
Now I'm the one that pays the bills, that writes the bills, and doing some part of the management together with with Rob, who also who was just here. We do the management of the team, and I also still like to drive the truck.
Not the car.
Huh?
Not the car.
Actually, I never drove a race car. I think I drove a Formula Ford car 15 years ago, but I never drove a Formula 3 car in my whole life.
You can try.
Yeah, but I don't feel anything for it, so I leave that to the real drivers.
Mm-hmm. This year your team finished third in the championship. Third now, no?
Fourth.
Yeah. Oh. It was the goal, P3?
No, of course the goal was before the weekend began. We still had a chance to be second in the championship.
Yeah.
We were 6 points behind Giovinazzi, and we were 33 points in front of Dennis. But unfortunately, the weekend.
I'm talking about Van Amersfoort Racing, not about Charles.
No, but Charles is now fourth in the championship. Oh, you mean in the team in the constructors?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Well, but for me the championship is about the drivers and not about the team. So it's good to be third in the championship, but for me, and I think for the team, it's a pity that we lost third place in the championship with Charles.
Yeah.
And the only thing that leaves us is the rookie championship.
Because last year you were P4 and this year P3, so it's always better.
Yeah, okay, but come on, Mercedes won the Formula 1 constructors title, but it's all about the driver's title, isn't it?
Yeah. When did you discover Charles, and what made you ride him?
I think Charles discovered himself. When you're in racing, it's your duty to have a look at other championships. Mm-hmm. And of course, Charles did very well last year in the Alps Renault Championship. So then this guy must be good, because it's his first year in racing and he's second in the championship, so he must be good. And we tried to persuade him to do a test with us. Mm-hmm. And actually he did it on the last possible day before the testing ban began, and we immediately fell in love with each other, I think. And then we start dealing with Nicola.
What are his strengths and his weaknesses?
That's an exceptionally good question in this weekend. At the beginning of the season we compared Charles with Max.
Yeah.
But it's a difficult comparison, because they're completely different characters, different personalities. So it's a bit dangerous, and I don't think it does justice to Max. and I also don't think it does justice to Charles. You know, they're different characters, like I said, and they have to do it on their own way. I think they're both very big talents, and I think also Charles deserves, like Max now is, deserves a Formula One seat. The difficulty is The difficulty is to get a seat in Formula One, and then sometimes you need a bit of luck. The luck Max had. To come back to your question, I think Charles is very good in his overall feeling of the car. He knows where to gain time and where he loses time, and that may sound quite simple, but it's quite difficult because we're talking about a few tenths, and to feel the difference in a few tenths is quite hard. So I think that's his strength. Braking, he's very good in braking, and he's very good in fast corners, but he's not so good in starting.
Do they have similarities in the way they work or drive?
Not really, but that's because Charles is a different personality, like I said, but there's one major thing not present when we have Charles, and that is Max's father. And that makes a huge difference. For us as a team, it's fantastic that we work with Charles one-to-one. Because with Max sometimes we worked with Max and Jos, which was not always easy.
There's more pressure.
More pressure, much more pressure. But sometimes yes, sometimes even. Maybe that's something Charles has to think of. Jos also gave Max pressure, and maybe Charles needs sometimes a bit more pressure on him from a management side. It's something. It's not an easy thing, this, but it's important for drivers. You know, internally in the team, we can put it like this: Max Verstappen is an extremely talented driver, but we shouldn't forget that he's also very, very well trained by his father from nearly baby on, and that's a bit different than Charles, because Charles is basically a self-made driver, you know, who has lots of talents, but maybe his training was not that as hard as Max's training. And everybody knows in sport that especially tennis players sometimes have really, you know, it's nearly cruel sometimes they undergo their training. The father of Agassi really was a pain in the ass for the son, but he made a real big tennis star out of him. So it's a very delicate thing, but you know what I mean, huh?
Yeah. Charles has been very fast during the good first part of the season, but since Zandvoort or Norrising, he's slower. Do you have an explanation for it?
Well, I wish I had the ultimate explanation, because then we could have solved it. We really must admit that we don't really know why. The only thing that leaves us is guessing. For sure, the first half of the season until Zandvoort was wonderful. We had 4 race wins and we were leading the championship.
15 podium.
And in Zandvoort everything went wrong which could have gone wrong. And in the end, of course, the most negative thing of the whole season was the big crash. And afterwards, nothing really functioned anymore. Maybe that's a bit exaggerated, but yeah, it became more difficult afterwards. And shoot me, we do everything we can. We've turned the car 20 times upside down. We checked everything, but we haven't found the answer yet. Why? The car is not as good as it was at the beginning of the season. I think other teams made bigger improvements on the car. and yeah, maybe Charles, how do you say, lost a bit of his self-confidence. You know, to be really fast in a race car, you need to have the confident feeling that the car is doing what you want to do. And when you lose that, it's very hard to get that back. For instance, look at the difference between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg.
Yeah.
It's a bit of the same. So it's a very difficult situation became for us. Things for Charles were even more difficult because in the team he was absolutely the fastest man, and that means he didn't have much help from his colleagues. So every development, every change, he has to do on his own, and that makes it quite difficult. And all these aspects together, I think we lost a bit. We lost a few tenths, and then yes, in this competitive field, you're not first anymore, but you're fifth, sixth, seventh. We were, you know, and this weekend here in Hockenheim is really a deep, dark point.
Yeah, he was just half a second slower than P1, and he was P12. So.
Yeah, it's all very close, but yeah, Charles is capable of being P1, but you know, in the most of the work is done in the qualifying, and so we were very good still in free practice.
Yeah.
But in the qualifying, we only have 20 minutes.
It seems the car is working like the 5 first minutes.
Yeah.
And after.
Yeah, they need about 5, 6, 7 laps to warm up the tires because it's so cold here. From the 20 minutes, then already 10 minutes are gone. Then you have to find a free place on track. You know, to have to find a clear lap, and then you also should not make mistakes. And yesterday in the second qualifying, Charles made a big mistake on his fastest lap, and therefore he dropped down. So yeah, you know, it's this championship is so competitive that every mistake you make immediately is a small disaster. So that's also, you know, we shouldn't forget that although Charles now ended up 4th in the championship, he's still the best rookie.
Yeah.
You know, and I can tell you, know, a year of experience in F3 in this competitive field is a huge difference because you know all the corners, you've been through it all the time, and you know that's different than the first. The first time is always everything. The first time in life is difficult. When you do it the second time, normally everything is more easy. And you know, we shouldn't talk about Felix, who's doing it for 5 times now.
5 or 6.
5 or 6, yeah. So
we don't know yet Charles' future. Do you think he could still be driving for your team in Formula 3 next season?
Of course, that's what we really hope for. I wouldn't know anyone better to find. But we must be realistic. You know, also his management, of course, were not really enthusiastic about our, how do you say, our downhill in the second part of the season. So I think they're also trying to find alternatives. We pronounced our wish to his management, and we just have to wait and see what happens.
Maybe with Mick Schumacher as a teammate next year?
I think that chance is quite small. Because we actually don't think Mick will be in F3 next year. I think Mick will have another year in F4. So, then you know.
The last race of the year will take place in Macau. What are your goals? P1?
Of course. Last year we showed that we have a fast car in Macau. Again with Max. Max screwed up last year by being too aggressive.
It's not the same tires, I think.
No, it's a Yokohama tire, but
maybe it could be a difference.
Let's put it this way: Macau is not comparable with anything we see all year. Macau is special in everything. So, and I would say the tire is the lesser difference, because everything is so different that there's nothing to compare. So it's a different schedule. We start with free practice and then a qualifying, and then the next day we have another free practice and a qualifying, and then we have a qualifying race. And every time, each session, you have to end it. You have to bring the car home all the time, because if you crash the car, you have a huge problem because you just lack track time. And yeah, and of course, when you see the pictures and the movies about Macau, you know, it's very dangerous and it's very hard to keep your car in one piece. So it's you know, it's a 7-kilometer circuit where you have a 2.5 kilometer straight. So imagine that for 2.5 kilometers you go full flat.
Yeah.
That means to be able to make the top speed. And the top speed in Macau is 285 k's. That's nearly 40 more than here in Hockenheim. You run without downforce. But of course that's against you when you go into the narrow street circuits, the street section. So the car is really dangerous in those, or dangerous. The car is loose, as we say it. You know, it has no downforce, so it's very hard to keep it out of the walls. You know, it's I would say Monaco is like an autobahn compared to Macau. And so the task is like, and I think he has seen the best example of Max last year. Yeah. Max qualified in the end, I think 7th. Yeah. Then in the qualifying race he made it up to 2nd, and then he put it in the wall. So that meant he had to start from the back on Sunday. So yeah, you know, I always tell my drivers in Macau, drive like a rally driver. Which means a rally driver has to drive at 90% because he has to be careful. There can be a tree, or it can be a valley, or whatever, you know, or a mountain. That's why they have to have a reserve. You need that in Macau. When you go in Macau for the full 100%, you will end up in the wall, because you know it is so bumpy. It's a nightmare for a driver to be really quick in Macau. That's why you need so much experience. And so the only thing we are hoping that he's doing a good job there. He has a bit of luck, and he's smart. And I think Charles is a smart guy. So he has to understand that the race is on Sunday and not on Thursday. Yeah.
So podium is possible.
Our actual goal is of course the podium, and I think he can do it. But there are lots of obstacles and lots of dangers trying to get him out.
But it will be the best result of your team, because the best result of your team is P7.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you consider create another team, Van Amersfoort, but in Formula Renault 2 liters or 3.5?
No, we're doing the Formula 4 program, and we're doing F3, and for the moment that's it.
That's it?
No, well, honestly, we did think about GP2, or no, let's be honest, we think about Formula 2. Yeah. But for the moment we don't think the politics surrounding it are good enough. We don't want to have a Formula 2 which basically is only a GP2 with a new name. We'd like to see some differences, but first things first. I'm quite happy with the F4 team. In their first year they've made it with a couple of race wins. We produced the number 3 in the championship. I think the Formula 4 team in its first year did very well. But the F3 team has to do better in the future. So we want all teams to work on a very good basic way before we do something new. You know, we don't want to risk the 2 existing teams to something fancy or something new. So we need to have everything in balance first.
And for my last question, do you know our website, and what do you think about it?
Your website?
Yeah, I'm Charles Leclerc fan.
Well, yeah, I don't regularly visit.
I know you understand a little bit French, so maybe.
Yeah, I never really looked at it because sorry for that. Because
You don't have time.
yeah, well, we have running a team, you have different things to know, and I think Charlotte must be very happy with you guys running the fan club.
We hope. We hope.
No, I think he does, and I think he deserves it, and it's always amazing. I think Max also benefits a lot from his fan club. I think it's a major part in a sportsman, and Charles for sure is a sportsman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And next time.
Okay.